Helen Brahms coming to you live from Escondido, California. Well, today is September the 9th, and we all know what day that means. It is a day that we never forget what happened on this day 18 years ago. Where were you? What do you remember about the day? I like hearing stories about events in history and people's thoughts, ideas, and their stories about that day. For me personally, I had come off night shift. I was working for Marriott at the time. I was a front desk supervisor, and I had been covering for my night auditor who was out on vacation. So I had come home and gone to bed, had no idea what was happening. I woke up and I woke up probably around 10 or 11 in the morning. Closer to 11, because that's usually the time I was waking up, and suddenly realized that we had some papers that had to be signed and returned. And so I thought, well, if I get hold of Brad, find out what time he's coming home, then I can go via the FedEx office on my way to work and drop them off. So I called Brad at work, and I said to him, I'm just calling to see what time you're going to be home tonight, because we've got these papers that need to be signed and da-da-da-da. He goes, haven't you heard what happened? I said, what are you talking about? He said, he said, 2 planes went into the Twin Towers. And I said, what, the World Trade Center? He says, yeah. He said, they're no more. They're like collapsed. And I'm like thinking, he's having me on. He's having a joke. So I turn the TV on and I start flipping through channels, and everything is showing the same thing the entire way. And he's told me about the Pentagon. He's told me about up in Pennsylvania. And it's like, and I keep thinking, oh no, this is just a movie. And nope, it's on just about every channel I am flicking on. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. And he, on his way to work that morning, he was heading around the bottom of the Beltway, because we were living in Virginia at the time, and he worked in Southeast DC at the Naval Research Lab. And so he went around the bottom of the Beltway, and as he was going around the bottom of the Beltway, he saw the smoke go up from when the plane collided with the Pentagon. By the time he got to the Naval Research Lab, not long after he got there, they put it on complete lockdown and shut down. They shut down all the computer networks and everything, and they were just streaming across all the monitors at his work, the newscasts that were coming through on. I think he just said they were doing CNN. It wasn't till later in the day that he finally came home, that they lifted the ban at the base to allow people to leave. It took me forever to get through to the hotel where I worked to find out what was going on. Did they need me to come in early and all of that? Finally got through to somebody there. Their phones had been ringing off the hook. And our hotel was right next door to the American Red Cross headquarters. So our hotel was on shutdown as far as any reservations, no reservations, period. In fact, they had done something they very rarely do, which was Marriott had put a ban on basically new reservations being made. I can't remember the term that they used. It was a while ago. But you couldn't get into any Marriott property. And so it was going in there, and there was a lot of people, and all night there were people coming down to the gatehouse area, which was our common area at the Residence Inn, and watching the news that was going, just cycling through. They were all talking about it. I didn't have a problem with having to stay awake that night, because there were always people in the foyer or in the gatehouse area, which was right off the lobby, in there talking. Nobody really wanted to go to bed that night. Everybody was in shock. So that was my recollection of 9/11. So what is your recollection of 9/11? What is your 9/11 story? And I just remember at times just, heartbreaking, seeing these walls go up with people's photographs on there as people are looking for loved ones. Even though I didn't know anybody in any of the places that had been hit, it was still for me a very emotional roller coaster. These people had lost parents and brothers and sisters and kids and all this sort of stuff. And it was heart-wrenching watching all of that. It really, really was. So that's my memories of 9/11. What are your memories of 9/11? And, where were you when you found out what had happened? I've seen some people's stories on Facebook today with some people who worked near the World Trade Center or near the Pentagon, who were at the Pentagon when it happened. So it's been interesting reading some of the stories that have come through on the news feeds and stuff. But it's amazing how fresh that memory of that day is. And it's something that we will keep alive for future generations and things too. So that is my, we never forget what goes on I'm always grateful to the first responders that were there that day, helping out all the military and all the stuff that they've done. I love my first responder guys and gals, love my military guys and gals, always supporting them and the work that they not only did on those days, but the work they've done since to help keep us safe and help us with our freedoms and everything else. So my heartfelt appreciation to all of the first responders and our military for the work that they do day in, day out, and in some cases life-threatening situations. So thank you guys and gals for all that you do. Please note that it is truly appreciated what it is that you guys do. So now changing topics. I need help with ideas. I am going to Orlando in the beginning of March. I have to be there the first weekend of March in Orlando, Florida. I am going to take Sparkles and drive across country. I'm going to take 2 weeks to get there. So I'm trying to decide which way to go in March to get from the West Coast to the East Coast in Florida. And then I'm thinking of taking 3 weeks to get back to the West Coast. So it's which route should I take? What things are there along the way to stop and see and do? So I'm looking for ideas. So if you could pop your ideas down below in the comments, I would greatly appreciate it, because I'm looking at maps and I was looking on my door where I have my outline of the US, and I want to fill in all my little states along the way because I got the West Coast done. And I was looking at all the southern states and the ones across the middle and the ones a little higher, and not really knowing what the weather's like in March in some of the northern states. I was sort of like, I'm going to take 2 weeks to drive to Orlando, 3 weeks to drive back to San Diego area, California. So which way should I go? Do I take the 10? Do I take the 40? Do I zigzag between them? So it's about 2,500 miles roughly that I'm going to be traveling. So I'm taking, like I said, taking 2 weeks, so I have time to, lesson learned on the 3,000 mile trip, take time, watch your times, watch my travel times, and make sure I allow times to stop and experience some of the attractions along the way, some of the sights, some of the views, the vistas, that sort of stuff. So I'm going to take 2 weeks to drive to Orlando and 3 weeks to drive home. So need your suggestions on places to visit, and things to see and do along the way. So I'm starting to plan that now for March. So September, October, November, December, January, February. So I got about 5 months to plan this. So I need your help. So I've done the 40. I have done the 40. Although it was a rush, we did 5 days on the 40. We left Centerville, Virginia. We went along 66, down 81, onto the 40, and then just shot straight through across the 40. Then I think it was down the 15 and into LA. Yeah, down the 15 and whatever it was to get into LA. And we did that in 5 days, so we didn't have a lot of time to stop. But we also had Gus with us as well. So a lot of the things that we wanted to see and do along the way, we couldn't because we had the dog with us. And we also had the trailer on the back as well. So that was when we were moving. So this time it's going to be me and Sparkles. Maybe a new traveling companion by then. I might have a new 4-legged traveling companion by then. I am open to another dog. I haven't found it yet. I already know what his name is going to be. I know how old he is going to be. I know what he looks like. I just have to physically meet him and adopt him and get him here. He will be a rescue dog, and get him into my RV as my new traveling companion. So I don't know when that's going to be. So I may have a dog with me at that time. I don't know. Maybe I'll meet him on the road trip. Well, now there's a thought. Anyway, so what are your recollections of 9/11? Please put them down below. I really do love the stories. It must be the genealogist in me. Love stories about history and that sort of thing. And then ideas for traveling from San Diego to Orlando. I got 2 weeks to get there and then 3 weeks to get back. So what are some of the places what are some of the routes I could take, some of the things I can see and do along the way? So please put your comments down below. Would greatly appreciate it. Hope you have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we will catch you tomorrow. Hekonera.